Mr. Sean Callagy, and an opportunity for people to use integrity-based influence to get from hello to yes. And it's done through a very fun and entertaining game where we can get to role play being a contestant and a judge, where you'll have a total of 6 minutes to influence somebody from a hello to a yes situation. We'll break it up into 2 little parts of 3 minutes each. So for those of you who have never played this before, there will be a role player who will today be filled by Anil Gupta. And Anil is a love and relationships coach and probably has, literally wears his heart on his sleeve and his head. And oh, and he's got a tattoo is the same as well. That's committed. That is a committed guy to his role. So the way that today will roll out is you will have an opportunity as a contestant to get the role player, in this case, Anil, from hello, whatever the situation is you want to set up. Maybe it's a client that you want to get down the line. Maybe, you know, Anil gets to be somebody that you want to donate money to a charity. Maybe Anil is somebody that you wanted to meet for a business meeting. Maybe Anil is somebody that you wanted to coach, or just whatever business situation that you like, okay? You get to ask Anil to be in that role. Our judges, who are Brad and his dad, Big Marv, and I think maybe is Adam a judge today, or Chris Real? Chris is
Hey.
Chris, you're on here as a, I'm sorry, Tiffany's the judge, and Chris will be our other contestant. Judges will give you an opportunity at the end of each person competing to score our contestants and give them incredibly constructive and welcoming feedback as to how they did, and areas that they can improve upon, and areas that they had excellence, and where they showed that they were congruent and they had that human influence and got people from a hello to yes using, again, human-based influence and the formula as designed and invented and created and installed by Sean Callagy. So welcome, everybody. I am going to let you all do your own little intro, 30 seconds of who you are, a little bit of bio about yourself, and one little fun fact. So I'll start with you, Ruth. Welcome to The Real Raw, and tell us a little bit about yourself and one little fun fact.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I am Ruth, and I'm super passionate about building and supporting businesses for impact. I am currently the co-founder of This Is My Era, which is a personal development brand, and we donate school supplies to kids in need for every planner that is purchased. Fun fact about me, I am 7 of 7 kids, and I also love to call myself a global citizen because I was originally born in Ghana. I went to middle school in Zimbabwe. I finished my high school in Geneva, Switzerland, and then I moved to the US for college.
Wow.
Like what is happening? By the way, a long time no see, and how are you?
You too. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I taught this guy Kuda like yesterday. Like, you know that guy?
Yeah, I've heard of him. I've heard some good things about that guy.
Very impressive dude, but not as impressive as you, but also a pretty cool and impressive guy. So yes, so Ruth, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. And like, what are you up to with your, the impact you're looking to create?
Well, I'm excited about this. I think right now, especially our main focus has been in Africa, because that's where I'm from, and it's just trying to impact, where I'm from. So, and they don't have the access as much as we do here in the US with opportunities. So I'm definitely excited to be here and learn and how I can grow and how that's going to impact the work that we're doing over there.
Awesome. Well, it's an absolute pleasure, and welcome, Ruth. And Frank, who's next?
Oh, next we have Tiffany Marroquin. Did I pronounce that right, Tiffany?
Marroquin. Close enough.
Oh, very exotic. Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself and a fun fact.
Sure. So I help globally minded entrepreneurs and investors turn their overseas homeownership dreams into reality with Lux Abroad Realty Group. And I also host retreats and masterminds, just creating bonding experiences for female entrepreneurs. And we do those in beautiful places all around the world when we're focusing on fun and growth and all of those things. And I guess a fun fact that kind of goes along with the rest of everything else is that one of my best friends and I actually met in an airport lounge about 8 years ago. And since then, we have traveled the world together. We don't live in the same city, but we have totally bonded on that one little airport lounge experience.
Tiffany, super fun fact. And by the way, where is your favorite place to travel to in the world?
Oh, I can't say I have just one favorite place just because, you know, I love variety and change, but I will say British Virgin Islands is probably at the top of the list.
Like
that or somewhere in Croatia.
Those are two very different places, like super cool. Have you ever been to Joost Van Dyke?
I have not. Or, yeah, sorry, I have. Yeah, it's been a while.
And the big guy, and they have Frank, this might be a place you would like. They have a place called the Soggy Dollar Bar. So
been there.
I've been there, Sean.
Have you
been there?
I've been to Joost Van Dyke.
Love
Yeah.
Doctor, of course.
Yeah.
I've always pronounced that wrong. That's why I was like, no, oh wait, yes I have.
So only on the
Thank you
real,
for telling me how it's pronounced.
only on the Real Raw, out of like 6 people, would like half the people be from Yoast, like have been to Yoast. That is unbelievable. It's like this microscopic speck in the world, but unbelievably cool. So Tiffany,
Oh, that's where I was born.
I wouldn't doubt that, Brad. I thought you were born on like bars. No, like bars or something. No. So yes, the Dennis Rodman of sales is here today too, Frank.
Oh, the Dennis Rodman of sales. Who would that be?
That would be Brad Himmel.
Brad, you're the okay. Well, fantastic. Brad, you're
Well,
up.
apparently, I'm the most unorthodox salesperson on the planet. So Rob Gill was like, "You are the Dennis Rodman of sales. You are the only person on the planet that can win 6 championships and score 3 points and have 27 rebounds." And still win 6 championships. So that's
Yeah, brother, I'm so happy to have you here and be hanging. So tell us about you. Like, you're awesome, and like, what's up?
so I'm Sean Callagy's little brother. And for those of you who don't know. No, I think my mission in life is to teach everything my dad taught me. It was interesting because when I was going through like a lot of trauma in my life, I saw a psychologist instead of going back to Tony Robbins, which was really stupid at the time. But she did give me like one big epiphany, which was like, she was like, "Where did you learn that?" I was like, "Oh, my dad taught me that." She was like, "Well, how did you learn how to treat women like that?" I was like, "Oh, my dad taught me that." He's like, she was like, "Where did you learn how to communicate like that?" I said, "Oh, my dad taught me that." And it was just like this list. It was like 6 pages long. I could have written 50 things on each page. So she's like, this guy that you're quote unquote angry with really taught you pretty much everything about life. So that's kind of, I think my new mission in life is to teach the world that I was grateful, like blessed enough to learn since I was like 2 years old, you know. So How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of the most famous sales books ever written. And I remember reading that book and I was like 18, 19 at the time. And I was like, nobody's ever wrong. Don't argue. My dad taught me that. Make people feel significant. I was like, my dad taught me that. The only way to get somebody to want to do something is to make them want to do it. So that, I was like, my dad taught me that. So I think that's kind of what I want to give the world, is what my father gave me since I was 2 years old. And it's effortless stuff. It's easy stuff that everybody can learn. So that's my mission in life.
Awesome, brother. And quick fun fact.
Fun fact, I went skydiving in Kauai for my honeymoon. And then 2 weeks later, the plane crashed and killed 4 people. So like,
God.
yeah, it was this freak accident.
Wow.
So it was just a good reminder of how blessed we are just to be alive and enjoying life.
Amen, brother. Well, great to see you, Brad. And we'll talk more in a minute, Frank. But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more. And Fernando's going to jump in here now because he has all the bios on people. And out of expeditious of time here, I've been winging it. And I'm going to let Fernando jump in here, and I'm going to kick it back to you, brother.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much. Tiffany, Brad, for jumping in. And I believe we still have not introduced our contestants. Is that fair, Mr. Callagy?
No, we have Ruth.
You have Ruth?
No Chris
Chris.
yet, and no Big Marv yet.
All right, awesome. So let's jump in with Chris Reel, who is our second contestant. Thank you, Frank, and thank you all for being here. Chris Reel, he's the founding attorney of the boutique business, intellectual property, real estate, and estate planning law firm, The Reel Law Firm. Hint, hint, Reel, R-E-E-L. Number 2, he attended Capital University Law School in Columbus, Ohio, where the firm's main office is located. Number 3, he's married with his wife, and he has a son who is 9 and a daughter who is 4. Everything he does is for them. And fun fact, he's Canadian, and he runs elite obstacle course races, having previously competed for Team Canada at the Obstacle Course Racing Championships.
Oh.
Okay, that's more like 3 fun facts. But yeah, they all flow together. So welcome, Chris.
Chris, dude, that's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Excited
man.
to be on this.
What's like the most challenging obstacle in like the Canadian running of obstacle coursing? Because like Canada is an amazing, beautiful, unbelievable, one of my favorite places in the entire world.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Great North. I love Whistler. I love all parts of Canada.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what's like one of the biggest challenges, Chris, that you faced in the obstacle coursing space?
So yeah, I mean, it's it was the World Championships. It was hosted in Canada too. So I guess Canadian Championships, same thing. But with this particular race, it had just finished pouring rain, and we had, I think, 3,500 feet of elevation that we had to go up and down on a 15-kilometer course for the World Championships. So when you have about 250 athletes that are trudging up a ski hill, it's going to get pretty muddy, and there's no traction. So when you first came out of the starting line, you're facing the mountain, and you're trying to climb up it. And there were people that would get halfway up and slide all the way back down. And it was, from a mental perspective, it was just as hard as the physical perspective. Elevation is never fun to play with, especially when you have the audible of no traction as you're heading up. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probably the toughest obstacle that I've raced in, just because of the unpredictability and just the lack of having the ability to gain traction as you're trying to move up. I mean, I was definitely one of the people that slid down all the way down the hill as I'm trying, and you're making progress, and you're like, I'm doing it, and then you're on your back and you're sliding all the way back down to the bottom. So
awesome. And Chris, where was that first of all, amazing. Anybody that's competing in anything in the world on a world stage, that's incredible. So that's not lost.
Thank you.
Great job. Incredible job.
Thank you.
And what was the mountain that you guys were on?
It was Blue Mountain. So it was in Collingwood, Ontario, about 2 hours north of Toronto, where I'm from. So that was cool. My son got to come up with me, and my mom and dad were there to support me, and my sister as well. So they saw me around in the mountain, and I've never seen my dad cry, but apparently he cried that day when he saw me just trudging along the mountain. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Super awesome. Cool. Chris, welcome, brother.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Fernando.
What is going on? So we got one more left. The Marvin Himmel, president of Ideal Coach, specializing in business coaching and sales training, author of 4 books on selling, over 40 years of sales experience. And fun fact, married his high school sweetheart 41 years ago. And he has 4 boys, 36, 34, 32, and 19. Welcome, Marvin Himmel.
And one more fun fact, Marvin, is one of the most incredible moments, emotional, heartfelt, resonant moments in the Tony Robbins room, which is full of those moments endlessly and continuously, involved you and your incredible son. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I was excited to be here, and it changed, Tony Robbins has changed my life multiple times over multiple years, but that Date with Destiny you're referring to was definitely one of the highlights of my life. So,
well, congratulations on that. Congratulations on an amazing life, and really grateful, Marvin, for you being here.
Sean, it's Adam, one of the highlights of my life, and I'm sure highlights of Brad's life as well. So Marvin, thank you so much for being here. That was just an amazing, special moment.
Yeah, Marvin, I have great respect for you and your work. So
thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, like let's drop in. Anil, are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do, Chris and Ruth, you may know, you may not know, but hopefully I got a little idea. We're gonna have fun unleashing the superpower of human influence and how we go from hello to yes with people. So Anil is the role player. He's here to be anybody that you'd like him to be. And this is a guy that's like remarkable and amazing and speaks on world stages and with incredibly cool people, from like the Dalai Lama to like anybody you could ever imagine. And so Anil will be anybody you want. Like he could be the Dalai Lama, right? He could be president of a country or just a potential client or an ecosystem merger or strategic alliance partner, anybody you'd like him to be that's an important yes in the world. And just remember this, it's going to be a 6-minute conversation, but it will be cut in half. And I'm going to be like, Anil, you get a quick phone call halfway through it, 3 minutes. He's going to take it. He'll be right back. You don't even have to set up the second part of the conversation. It's just like he's going to put you on like hold for a moment. Okay. In addition, the yes doesn't have to be at the end of the 6 minutes for the like being your client or whatever that yes is, the absolute yes. It could be just for a longer meeting. That's totally up to you. So with that said, Chris, you're coming from where today in the world?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. And Ruth, you're where today?
Madison, New Jersey.
Boom, not far away. So you are definitely much closer than Chris. So Chris, I have a 1 or a 2 under the table. Which do you think it is, a 1 or a 2?
2.
It is a 2. So you get to choose whether you'd like to go first or second in the first round. Which would you like to do?
I'll go second.
Okay, Ruth, he is.
Sorry, Ruth.
Chris is under the bus. Ruth,
I'm going to set the tone for you.
Yes.
See, that's it. You're going to get the rhythm going.
Yes. So Ruth, I have like a couple thousand cookies sitting around my house. Can you help me with that? Like that's a later conversation for a different day. So who would you like to?
All right. So Anil, I would love for you to be a potential finance course creator. And so just a bit of background for you. You went through some financial issues and you're now debt-free and a multimillionaire. You're an author and you also have a podcast. And your fun fact is you love to travel.
Ooh, I love it. Ruth is ready to throw it in.
Yeah.
I actually do need a finance course creator, so I'm practicing for an actual pitch.
Ruth is definitely not unprepared. So I'm excited. So Ruth, Anil, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, Ruth, you're going to hear a buzzer go off with 1 minute to go, 30 seconds to go, and done. And it's 3 minutes, round 1. And judges, what we're looking for, Brad, Marv, Tiffany, what we're looking for here is how deeply, in a heart-centered way, does Ruth connect and put something at stake. And the second round, it's going to be about what Ruth is seeking the yes all about and kind of who she is and what she's up to in the world and sharing her heroic, unique identity, right? So that's round 2. Round 1, heart-centered connection, like gravitational pull towards Ruth with something at stake. Ruth, please take us in. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Anil, thank you so much for, taking the time to talk to me today. How are you?
I'm very excited to speak to you. I'm very interested in what you've got to say.
Absolutely. I think I'm more interested in, your life experience and what you've been through. I think, your story is just so inspiring and a lot of people will relate to it. I did read about what you went through financially and the struggles and how you're now on the other side. Do you mind sharing a little bit about, what that was like and how you were able to really get out of it?
Yeah, as you know, I was on the verge of suicide. I wouldn't eat with a knife just in case I did something stupid. And then I had an epiphany. I said to myself, or through some interventions, mostly my wife, that Anil, you can handle this. You got this. And from there, I wrote a bestseller book. I speak on stages all over the world. I travel and I share my knowledge.
That's really wonderful. And I think, it's such a human thing, right? Because we all go through, situations that are very different, but on the same level, we experience similar emotions. So you mentioned your wife. I'm sure it was probably difficult for her to watch you go through that. Did she, share some of her experience with you?
I remember the date. It was Friday evening, markets closed. And I shared the news with my wife, saying, honey, we're broke, we lost everything. And she looked up at me with those big brown eyes and smiled. And I said, you know, why are you smiling? What's wrong with you? She said, I knew something was wrong. You've been behaving very strangely. I thought you had cancer. I thought you were dying. I don't care about the money as long as I'm with you.
Oh, that's really beautiful. It sounds to me like your wife is a half glass full type of person. She doesn't look at she always tries to find the good in every situation. And that's super wonderful.
Actually, she's not. You see,
she's not.
She's a refillable glass, so she can fill it up anytime she wants.
I love
and you know what? You know what? She fills me up too.
And that's good. And you know, I think everybody needs that person in your life to be able to see and give you a different perspective, right? When you're going through certain circumstances where you probably think there's no way out, and you have someone there to fill it up for you, like you said. And once you feel filled up, you have a different vision to life. So that's incredible.
Yeah, she got lucky.
Or maybe you got lucky.
I am lucky, very lucky, yes.
So another thing that I really wanted to touch on is that you do have a podcast as well, where you share about, you know, your financial experience. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with the podcast and books, it sounds like you have a desire to see, you know, a lot more people come out into financial freedom. Does that sound like something that is like really passionate for you?
You know, I developed my 7-step Pathway to Freedom program, and I'd like to share that with the world because I made some stupid mistakes. I don't want other people making the same mistakes, so that they can have beautiful families and beautiful legacies. I would love to share that.
That's fantastic.
I'm sorry, Neil's got a quick phone call. He'll be back just in a couple minutes. Okay, Ruth, how did that round one feel for you?
That was good, actually. I liked that. I like that you threw me off a little bit with the fill up the glass, and I was like, oh, I love that.
Neil, if you had one word for the connection, what would that word be, Neil?
Great rapport. Just rapport.
Beautiful. All right, Chris, are you ready?
Awesome. No, not after that.
You threw her under the bus.
Yeah, that's what I get. That's karma. That was awesome, Ruth. That was amazing. Honestly,
yeah,
that was amazing.
You run up 3,500 square foot or 3,500 foot mountains in the mud, like this. Yeah, come on, man. And so, who would you like Neil to be?
So, Neil, I'd love for you to be a creative brand agency owner who also has a podcast and is an event coordinator for local entrepreneurs. And the ultimate goal, or should I say the ultimate goal, or?
No, you don't have to at all.
Okay.
That's all you say. All right, take us in. Cool. 3 minutes, Chris.
Awesome. Hi, Neil. How are you today?
Amazing, Chris. Nice to hear from you.
You as well. It's great to connect again. I know we had reconnected. Was it a couple of weeks ago at that conference?
Yeah, I think it was Peter was the common friend that we had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peter. He's a fantastic guy. Obviously, you know, speaks very, very highly of you. And you know, I knew that we had to reconnect at some point after parting ways.
Yeah, I felt that too. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad. So I wanted to ask you just a little bit more about what we had talked about at the conference, which was, you know, your podcast and those events that you host for creative entrepreneurs within our local community. Can you kind of just share a little bit more about, you know, the core beliefs behind your podcast, and then, you know, why you go forward and create these events for these entrepreneurs, because that's no easy endeavor.
You know, I struggle a lot creating my agency because I've made so many digital marketing mistakes. And really, honestly, if people could have a done for you or someone holding their hands without being overcharged and without being ripped off, it would make my life so much more beautiful, and it would impact their lives. Because people have, you know, I see very heart-centered people who can't get on the map, who've got a great gift, but they're just not being able to share that gift.
No, I hear you there. And it sounds like you've helped a lot of people achieve that goal.
I have, and my mission is 1 million businesses by the end of 2022.
That's incredible. How close are you?
I'm on 120,000.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If there's anything I can do to help, bring people to you to, again, stand to benefit from what you offer, I'm here.
Well, if you could refer me to any podcast hosts, I'd welcome that.
Awesome. And I know, you host your own podcast. What made you want to create your own podcast? I know, it's just overwhelming with value, much like your events. Just kind of curious as to, what made you want to step into the podcast world?
Really, it's about quality. I really want to be in charge of quality and integrity, because a lot of podcasts really don't have that much integrity around this subject. And I wanted to make sure that the people who are delivering content were not selling. A lot of people are focused on selling. I didn't want that. So I wanted to curate a beautiful experience.
Absolutely. So you would say that, value first is the focal point or core principle of the podcast itself.
I would say integrity first. The value will come from the integrity.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. No, that's fantastic. I know, a lot of entrepreneurs myself that, they listen to various podcasts, and that is a common denominator is finding one that, has that integrity and that driver that provides the value to them that they can take away with them. Can you tell me, I've listened to a few episodes. Who would you say is your favorite guest that you've had on that podcast?
Anil, you know what? Let's pick up with that answer. Favorite guest on the podcast in just a moment. You got a quick call.
Sorry, I got to go.
Yeah. Chris is going to bounce back in 1 minute. How was that for you, Chris?
That was exhilarating. I tell you what.
Excellent. And Neil, what'd you have for one word for the connection?
Equilibrium.
All right, awesome. Let's take us in. So our judges, and of course, we're not judging these fine folks. We're assessing the performance and what was working well, what could be optimized, and then giving it a score on a scale of 1 to 10. So Brad, about 40 seconds of feedback, or 5 seconds to go in your feedback. You hear a quick buzzer, and then 5 seconds later, I'll make and a score, Brad. And we'll start with Ruth, please. So Brad, what went well, and what's an optimization?
Please address me as Dennis Rodman. Thank you.
Mr. Rodman. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I would give Ruth an 8.
5 seconds.
I think the objective is as quickly as possible to connect emotionally. And I think you're such an enthusiastic, positive person. You wanted to influence them with your positivity instead of connecting where they were in that state. And he started with a suicide attempt, I think. And that was an opportunity for you to jump in and be like, wow, so you've climbed from the depths of hell to where you are now. That's incredible. I would love to hear more about that and how you were able to get out of that and how you were able to become the person you are today. I would have stopped there and just been like, you could feel it too, like everybody on the Zoom call. There was you could feel that there was a pause needed, maybe a 3-4 second pause needed. But that was, other than that, rapport, you're phenomenal at, because you can see that you're such a genuine person.
Cool. And what'd you have for a score, Brad?
8.
You said, okay, thank you. And how about for Chris?
Chris, I would have given right around there as well, like an 8. I think Chris is super charismatic. He's got a lot of confidence and he really believes in whatever he's selling or promoting, which typically makes it difficult to ditch all that and focus on the person you're trying to develop rapport with. So I think if I could give Chris any feedback, I would be like, sometimes you got to get out of your head and just, how can I just focus on this person only, read their emotions, read their soul, read their whatever they're going through in that. But it's tough because people like Chris are so charismatic and so confident. It's sometimes difficult to get out of that mode and focus only on the person in front of you.
Brad Dennis Rodman Himmel, rocking it. Great job, Brad. Right.
Thank you.
Marvin, what did you have, sir, for Ruth?
I thought similar to what Brad was saying, I thought there was a moment at the very beginning where he was sharing his soul, and she could have responded to that a little bit more. You can tell she's such a positive person that she wants everything to be positive, but sometimes you have to go with people to the dark places to help them into the light. But overall, I would give it an 8 as well. She's a very charismatic, brilliant person, you can tell. So
Awesome. Yes, and what'd you have for Chris?
Chris, I thought started out a little slow, and then he gained his speed and gained some positive momentum and got into a rhythm that he was really connecting with him. It just took a little bit to get there, but that's okay. He didn't let it bother him. He just, you know, you could see he was searching for the right way to connect, and he finally found it and did a great job of it.
All right, awesome. And what'd you have for a score?
8 as well.
All right, thank you, Marv. Tiffany, what'd you have for Ruth?
All right. So, yeah, Ruth, I thought you did an amazing job of just really getting in there and you know, building the rapport and having him share his story. Like the others, I do agree that maybe, you know, when he brought up like, hey, something about asking about the suicidal thoughts and how he overcame that. Yeah, that probably would have been a good thing. But I do love how you brought up his wife and you did keep it all positive. So that's great. I gave you a 9 on that one.
Nice. And what'd you have for Chris?
And for Chris, I thought you did an awesome job as well. You're definitely great at building rapport. I think it did kind of start off a little like choppy, maybe a little bit awkward, but then you kind of got into the groove. I loved how you were asking, you know, if there's anything you could do to help. And I'm sorry, my dog's going crazy in the back.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog do you have?
She is a Pomchi, and somebody's knocking on my door, so she's being a watchdog there. Just happened to when you call on me. It was all quiet until then.
And so please, yeah.
Yeah, so Chris, I will give you an 8.5.
Nice. Thank you, Tiffany. All right, so we're ready for round 2. I'll give some feedback and play with a couple concepts after the second round. But Ruth, it is now your choice. Would you like to go first or second in round 2?
I'll go first.
Oh, Ruth stepping right in. Here we go. So in this round, the question is, well, we pick up where we left off, and we're moving through. Ruth is being assessed on sharing her heroic, unique identity. Like, what are those characteristics that would leave Anil seeing his future in her and her getting to a yes, dealing with any objections that come up? And Ruth, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, 3 minutes. Take us in.
Hey, Neil, how are you? Thank you so much. It's good to see you again.
My pleasure. Sorry for the last interruption.
No, absolutely. I understand. You know, things happen, but I'm glad you were able to find the time to connect with me again. And if you're ready, I'd love to, you know, pick it back up where we left off.
Absolutely.
All right. So I do recall you mentioning that, you know, you had gone through your financial struggles and come out on the other side, and you have a 7-step framework that you would love to be able to share with the rest of the world. And I think it's super incredible because, you know, I believe that things happen to us in life so that we can be able to share with others. So your circumstance and your situation, I believe, would be perfect for what we are working on. So I have a personal development brand, and we're working on building an online platform where we're providing courses for people to develop their whole life. So as opposed to just focusing on, you know, career-wise, we want them to develop every single aspect of their lives. So all their courses that we have will be focused on different areas of life, from finance to health to education to relationships. And I believe that you would be the right person, especially with one of the sections that I read in your book in terms of people's relationships with money. So if you are open to the opportunity, I would love to definitely share some more on what we were thinking and how maybe your framework could help, you know, provide value to my community.
You said you were thinking of setting this up. Is it a live program already?
So we have one course that is in place right now. And based off of, community research survey, we identified that finance was the next area that a lot of people in our community was struggling with. And I wanted to go out and find a solution for them. And I believe you would be the right fit.
Okay, is there some something I can look at? Because my integrity is very, very important. I have to be cognizant of who I put my name to.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. We do have our first course is available online, and I'll definitely shoot you some more information, the emails with all the links and every single thing that you need. And if you do have more questions, I'm definitely open for you to send them all over if we can't cover it on this call, and I'll be more than happy to open up and share that with you. And the beauty really about what I'm trying to do as well is, which I might think you might find interesting, is for every course that is purchased, we are actually now going to donate a scholarship to a student to go to get an education. Because as I mentioned, everything I do has to have some kind of impact to it. So we're going for a one-for-one model with each course. So people can empower themselves and empower others as well during that same process.
I like your holistic approach, because if you just focus on one thing and you leave the other aspects of human behavior and human development alone, it doesn't serve them. So I do like your holistic approach.
That's fantastic. And I love to hear that. I love that we're aligned in that. Is there any questions anymore that I can answer to be able to help you, identify whether this is something that you'd be interested in having conversation further?
Last
what was the main reason you approached me?
Well, based off of your personal story, because I think the best people are people that have been through it, the ones that you can learn from. So experience is everything, and people can relate to your experience. And I believe that you were the right person for it.
Good.
Awesome. All right, Ruth, excellent work. How did that feel for you?
That was a little bit more challenging the first round, because building rapport with people is not as difficult for me. I could strike a conversation. I've had conversations with people on the airplane for the entire flight, and then at the end of the flight, I realized I didn't even ask their name. So rapport is not that difficult. It's really been getting to asking people for something. And so that one was a little bit more challenging.
What does asking people for something mean to you?
I think, which I recently discovered with my upbringing, I'm used to always serving and giving without expecting much in return. So when I feel like I'm asking, I want to be able to know what I can give them first before I ask. And I didn't feel like I was giving Anil much right now. So I think that's why that section for me was a little bit challenging, because I want to be able to give, and then maybe receive.
So what if when in certain scenarios, or most scenarios, when you're asking people to say yes to something, you are actually giving to them? Like, what if that's possible? Does that make sense? It's just how you're framing the perspective. So if you're asking somebody to say yes to you, like, so, right, like there's things that people sell, and it's like, wow, thank you for buying. Well, thank you for that great opportunity for me to buy from you, right? Like, so how do we perceive what's occurring is critical. We'll talk more about that, maybe at a later time, but excellent job. But I can feel that energy rise in you of like, oh, like I'm taking something. Asking for something does not equal taking something. Is that a fair agreement?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Great job. So Chris, you ready for round two?
Woo! Let's do it.
All right, let's take the mountain, brother. Here you go. 3 minutes.
All right. Hey, Neil. I'm glad we can reconnect.
No, my pleasure. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. My earbuds were going in and out anyway, so it's good. I had a chance to cater to my technical difficulties. If you don't mind, I want to pick up where we left off. I had asked you who your favorite podcast guest has been to date. Super curious about that.
Actually, it was Sean Callagy. Yeah. Have you heard of him at all?
I have. I've heard a few things about him. I hear he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah. You know, the beautiful thing about his is very articulate and he gets straight to the point. So really, he's a great service orientated speaker.
Yeah. Is that, do you have any particular kind of experiences on your podcast where he kind of shed light on that stuff that really, I guess, gave you the period at the end of the sentence that, yeah, this guy is the number one guest that I've had so far?
You know, he said something very beautiful. It's all about the micro distinctions. And it's true, you know, a small change here and a small change here, and the compounding effect of that over a week, a month, a year, and, you know, ecosystem nurturing. And if you compound all of these things together, the results are phenomenal. And I've seen the results that he's been getting.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I'm sure you're familiar with Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect, and sounds very similar and equally valuable, if not more so. I want to switch gears a little bit. I really want to focus just for a second on your core principles when you approach, you know, your client work, your podcast, your events. You say that you lead with integrity. I want to kind of peel that back a little bit and just ask you, you know, why is that? Why do you feel that integrity is something that should be at the forefront of all that you do?
Well, it's the basis of living a fulfilled life. My father really was very honest, beyond honest. And I thought, wow, Dad, you're too honest. He said, no, son, there can never be a point where you're too honest. You either do or you don't. I learned it from him, and it means everything. You know, I would never lie. I would never, dupe someone. And I've been duped, and I never want anyone to be duped. So, and if I was facilitating that, that would hurt me a lot.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense, and I can respect that. I mean, as I'm not sure if you're aware, but you know, I came to the United States as an 18-year-old on a soccer scholarship and knew absolutely nobody. So, you know, I took with me my father's principles as well to develop friendships. And one thing that he always drove into me was integrity. And that is, you know, it's helped a lot in terms of developing incredible relationships with people that know that, one, I mean, they can count on me, but, you know, the same thing. And I can close my eyes, you know, on my phone, scroll through the address book, and I'm pretty confident that whoever I land on will pick it up. And it's not because of who I am, it's because of who I've chosen to, you know, become part of their world. And, you know, that's kind of the reason for us connecting again as well. You know, I do want to be a part of your world. And, you know, I really feel like we strike a lot of the same chords. And, you know, like you said, being direct is something that you enjoy as well. So I'll be direct. And, you know, I do believe that
20 seconds.
I'd love the opportunity to speak with you in a little bit more detail to see if there's any way I could provide value to your audience, whether it's be a podcast guest or speak at one of your events or support you in some other way at those events. Would you be up for having an additional conversation and more in depth on that?
I'd like to know, where could you help me the most?
Sure. You know, my law firm is you know, built on the foundation of, like you said, integrity and value. You know, with the value component, I love to educate. I love to provide that sort of value without any sort of, you know, ask in return. And it seems like that's something that you walk to the same step as me. So, you know, I feel like us putting our heads together would really be a dynamic duo.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anil's got a quick phone call. He'll be back in a little bit, Chris.
See you, Anil.
All right. Chris, awesome job, brother.
Thank you.
Very impressive. And where is your firm?
It's in Columbus, Ohio. We have satellite offices in Florida as well.
Very cool. How many folks do you have in the firm?
So there's 2 of us.
Very cool. Very impressive.
Very boutique.
No. Listen, very impressive. Very
Thank you.
interesting set of potential dynamics. Okay, cool. Awesome. Very exciting. This is why the Real Raw is amazing. And Anil, what did you feel about the connections that ran with Ruth, please, and with Chris?
With Ruth, honestly, I was uncertain, you know, and this is a real life scenario. People approach me all the time, and I really need to know more about you. Would I lend my name to you? So, and you know, she used the word trying. That really, when people say, oh, I'm trying to set something up, that sort of puts up a red flag for me. So I had a little bit of uncertainty.
Yeah, got it. And with Chris?
I wish you'd get straight to the point. You know, just tell me what you could do. You know, I mentioned in the first part, I want some help with podcasts. If you'd say, hey, Neil, look, you know what? Let me introduce you to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And I can do this for you. I can do this for you. I'd have liked to have heard something like that.
Cool. All right. Excellent, Neil. Let's go in reverse order of judging. Tiffany, what did you have for Ruth?
All right. Yeah, so Ruth, I do like how you were sharing, you know, what it is you were about. What I did notice on this one, it was mostly you talking and not a lot of Anil talking. You know, when he was asking for more and just kind of the things like that. I do like how you know, were like, oh, you did your research on him and you answered that well. But it was kind of, you know, it wasn't really getting to the point of setting up the next thing, because it was like, you know, send you this information, but you didn't set like a specific like date or time or something like that. It was just kind of very brief, very broad. So for that one, I'll give you a 7.
And for Chris?
And for Chris, I thought definitely started much smoother. You definitely, I love how you picked up where you left off. But kind of like Anil was saying, it did kind of, for the purpose of the 3 minutes, it was kind of going on and on and on, like get to what it is, the point of getting to your yes. So it kind of took a while to get there. But I do love that you were, you know, going in a little deeper and asking why that he was, you know, so why he enjoyed the cert, you know, having being on Sean's podcast, and why integrity was one of his main things. I do like it that you were getting into that. So on that one, I had another thing I wrote down. I already said it. So yeah, I would give you a 7.5.
Excellent feedback, Tiffany. Tiffany, how's this been for you today?
Good. It's a lot better being a judge than a contestant.
Right. That I've heard that before.
It's so awkward when you're just like, you know, trying to make some things up and you're on Zoom, and yeah, it's fun. Good times.
And you're extraordinary. Thank you. So let me drop in between. We're going to get to Marv in a minute, but Ruth, I want to lean in a little bit on this idea of like asking, receiving. So the yes that you were seeking in the world, like totally specifically, was what? So you wanted Anil to say yes to do exactly what?
To create a finance course for our community to help people develop a better relationship with money.
Okay. So, and is that something that would be done charitably or for money?
It'll be for money. So it'll be sold. There'll be a revenue split. Definitely. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So all right, let me drop in as you with Anil for a second. Sound good?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, please.
Actually, no, let me drop in with you. Better with you. So you're that person and I'm you, Ruth. Okay. So we'll call you Anil. Good. All right. So Anil, thank you so much for having the conversation with me. And really what I'm interested in is exploring a couple different possibilities and seeing if it makes sense for us to have a longer conversation. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So listen, I've heard a lot about you. I've heard you speak, and I've been really impressed by your work, and it's had an extraordinary impact. The things you talk about uncorrelated assets, I had no idea, right? I thought because I had some real estate, some equities, and I had a business that I had diversification. And to think that like 12 uncorrelated assets is like shooting for, I didn't even know there were 12 asset classes in the world. So I just want to tell you that like you blew my mind. And I thought I read a lot of books and knew a lot, but you totally opened my eyes and helped me see what I'm not seeing. So thank you, Anil.
Well, you're very welcome. And I'm glad, you know, you found it very valuable.
Yeah. And so can I ask you this, like, what is your purpose? You know, and like your big purpose, like where's this all going? You teach, you lecture, you have impact, you're doing a lot of beautiful things, and it seems like you've done extraordinarily well. What keeps you going, and like, what's the ultimate vision for you?
I think the ultimate vision for me is to provide a framework that's easy for people to come into the realization that they can have financial freedom.
And like, when was that a realization for you, that you could have that? And then, but if you don't have to go, but and when did you decide that's something you wanted to give to other people?
Once I went through it and came out on the other side, following step-by-step processes that I learned through experience, I realized I don't want anybody else to go through that process.
Yeah, awesome. Would it be okay if I just shared for a couple of seconds, like what I'm up to?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, my name is Ruth, and thanks so much for chatting with me. And I've lived all over the world. I was born in Africa and had my education in a couple different places there, ended up going to high school in Switzerland, come to the US. And the one thing I've seen in common, Anil, which I think you've probably seen as well, is that finance can create such an extraordinary amount of suffering. Now, of course, we both know it's like how people relate emotionally to it, like the money or absence of doesn't make us happy or not, but people have a really hard time having financial strain and enjoying their life in a real way. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yes.
So what I'm interested in exploring, in light of your absolute brilliance and your commitment to impact, would be to see if it would make some sense and to have a 15 or 30-minute longer meeting to discuss partnering and creating a course for people, and a course for people all over the world that would not just speak into the technical aspects of finance, but also the emotional. And I read and see that in your work. And it obviously is a lot of details to describe, but I'm committed to making this absolutely extraordinary. And I have the energy, I have a lot of people I know, which we could talk about, in a longer meeting. But if you would give me 15 or 30 minutes of your time, I'm really confident that you'd think it was worth it. So how does that feel for you?
That sounds good. I'm definitely open to exploring this further.
Okay, so Ruth, did I feel like I'm taking anything from Anil? You're Anil, did I feel like I was taking something?
No, actually.
Okay, so what is your heart and feedback on that type of interaction?
Mm-hmm. So I think it was definitely genuine. So you played in on my experience, my expertise, and also being able to acknowledge, and understand, yes, you went through this, and acknowledge where you are now. And I love that you are also kind of reframing everything that was said before to make sure that you understood what was being said before you provided a different perspective, or before you went into your next thing, so that way you remained on the same level of understanding.
Awesome. And one thing I would just share for everybody here and everybody who watched this live in the replay, right, is this micro distinction, right, is that we're not hooking, pitching, closing, or playing into anything, right? As soon as we take on that energy, all of a sudden we feel like we're doing something sneaky and we're doing something wrong. And so in that conversation with Anil as you, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think you're doing something beautiful, needed, and powerful. And I think the exact person, that persona that you're talking to about it, I think there's huge benefit and opportunity in it for them as well, both in contribution and financially. That's what I think. So I think all we're doing in our communication, which I'm interested to hear Marv's thoughts on all of this and his brilliance, is we're just unveiling truth. And we're just exchanging value authentically and integriously in a heart-centered way. And Ruth, I don't think you could ever find your way to doing anything different than that if you tried, because of who you are in your heart. So when you're asking, you're really serving and creating impact. Is that a fair possibility?
Yes, it is. And as you're actually talking, I realize there is impact associated with what I'm doing. So even if anybody creates a course for us, ultimately, I'm going to be providing scholarships to kids to go to school. Yeah. So I could also use that as to help So yeah, actually, there's a lot of given out of
In
that
your
too.
in your lessening suffering through the course. In your
Yeah.
lessening suffering.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful job. So Marv, what do you got to say about all this and some feedback for Ruth and for Chris, please?
Ruth, I felt like you were in features and benefits. And features and benefits work if they're tied to somebody's pain. But if you're just telling people features and benefits for the sake of telling them features and benefits, it doesn't have the same impact. So you want to be careful that if you're going to go through the route of telling people what you do, you want to understand how what you do fits with what they want to do. And that's what Sean just did in the role play. That was awesome. Fitting together those pieces of what you do and what they want to do and how you can work together.
Yeah.
So what'd you have for a score, Mark?
7.
Nice. And how about for Chris?
Chris, I felt like at the end it was pushing hard for the yes to the point where it almost became confrontational. And he hadn't really explained what the yes was, but he was just pushing for the yes. And I didn't feel like that was, from my end, I don't know how it felt in the role play, but it felt a little awkward.
And what'd you have for a score, Mark?
7 as well.
And this is like having the Yoda of sales here with us today and having you. How did today feel for you?
Say that again.
I said having you here today was like having the Yoda of selling Star Wars. So it was awesome. And how was today's experience for you?
It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I appreciated the fact that these people are willing to put themselves out there, because that's how you get better at things.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. And Brad, what's happening? And what do you have, sir?
This that was phenomenal, because it really it honed in on how important what you're teaching is. It's a systematic approach to get people to buy. So I'm glad you invited me, and I'm glad Adam had me come on, because it was such a good reminder of how powerful this stuff is. And so I'll start with Ruth, because you said it perfectly at the beginning. People want to see their future in you when they buy. So there's a reason why people spend millions of dollars with Tony Robbins. I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars, because they see their future in Tony. They sit in the audience and they say, I can be that person. If I stay in state and I follow what he teaches, I can become that person. And I think Wolf of Wall Street is like the most misperceived movie ever, because there is a lesson in sales in that movie where it says, my client is either going to buy or die. And it's really screwed up, because he's selling a very unethical product. But if you're Ruth, if you're selling something that you're selling that's really going to have an impact on the world, you have to feel that way. You have to say, they're either going to buy or they're going to die, or they're going to suffer from not buying my product or service. That's so important. And you have to just anchor that why and the importance of them buying. And I think once you get that, you'll be a phenomenal salesperson. Because your mission and your cause and your purpose and what you're trying to accomplish is so important to you. It's just going to ooze through into anybody you talk to. But you have to get to that point where, if they don't buy this product or service, they will suffer because they did not buy this product or service. And if you really don't believe it, then don't try to sell it. But if you believe it, go for it. I'm going to do whatever it takes, because this person will suffer if they do not buy my product or service.
Awesome, Brad. And what'd you have for a score for Ruth?
I give her a 4.
Right. And for Chris?
Chris, I gave a 6. And the only reason why I scored low, the good thing about people like Chris is he's so confident that people see he naturally generates that, seeing that their future in him. So he has that ability to do that just naturally. He probably doesn't know it, but he does it really well and without trying. But it wasn't clear. It wasn't concise at the very beginning. And Sean, you do a really good job of this, of establishing exactly what you want to talk about at the very beginning. And Story Brand and Business Mastery said this perfectly. He's like, everybody creates this emotional picture, but they don't state in one sentence exactly what service they're trying to provide. And I thought, Chris, if you could get to that quicker, you would have had a lot more success.
Awesome, brother. And what'd you have for score again? I'm sorry.
6.
6. Excellent. Brad, how was today for you? It's great to reconnect. It's been way too long. So
Yeah.
Real raw.
I think this, it's sad because people go through Business Mastery. It's what, like 5-7 days, but there is not a formulaic approach still. And Sean, we talked about this a year ago. There's not a formulaic approach to mastering sales. The only person in the room that speaks at Business Mastery that's mastered sales is Tony Robbins.
Yes, sir.
Nobody else gets on stage and is like, I have a formulaic approach to human influence. And this subject matter is extremely important. And I'm glad you invited me, because it was a good reminder, which is funny because you gave me the biggest reminder I've ever needed in my life a year ago, probably today, our first phone call ever together. So I appreciate the invite, and I think this stuff is phenomenal. I'm glad you're still teaching it.
Oh, brother, we haven't caught up for a while. Things are on fire, and I am not confused. And yes, I will continue to share with the big man's team that is a missing element of Business Mastery, my most loving and gentle way. Yes. So thank you, Brad. Appreciate you. And there's so much to catch up on, Brad, that you have no idea. So it's been remarkable. This is about the 123rd or 4th Real Raw that we've done, and incredible ecosystems flying. So we miss you. So great to catch up. Anil, thank you. Your heart, your genius, your humor, your sensitivity, empathy, all of it is present. So thank you. And how was today for you?
Yeah, I made some more micro distinctions and macro distinctions. I have a question for Ruth. May I ask her a question?
Of course.
Yeah,
Ruth, are you an amazing giver?
I am.
Are you a bad taker?
Yes.
May I give you in 1 minute a massive breakthrough?
Please.
Anil, here we go. Here we go. Love it.
Okay, imagine you have $10 million in your bank, okay? Every day you have to give $1 million away. How long could you do that for?
Just 10 days.
10 days. Now, imagine someone deposits over $1 million a day into your bank, and you still have to give $1 million a day away. How long could you do that for?
Forever.
So are you taking that money?
No.
Or are you receiving it?
I'm receiving and then recycling.
Yeah. So the more you can receive, the more you can serve.
The more you can give. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, Dr. Love.
Anil, were you talking to Ruth?
Yes.
Happy Friday. Love you all. Have a beautiful weekend. Great job, Anil.
Bye, everybody.